fuck you, Tony. Got a group of failures and they're all my friends. Got a group of drinks and the bottles never end. And the night's gotta rock, gotta roll, and they gotta do fun. In the heart of no morals, babe, well, you're gonna get stuck.
Spots where it's like, only an audio engineer would notice that.
And you know, probably about 80%, 90% of the time, that's absolutely true. You know, I mean, for the average listener, you know, as long as they can hear you and you're fairly clear, they don't care. It's about the content.
Yeah, it's really strange how the how would I say this? The standard of what entertainment is today from what it was even 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, everything 15, 20 years ago was written. Everything was scripted.
Approved.
Yeah, and now it's just people having conversations, and with these podcasts that are out there, that it's opinion-based entertainment rather than you know just the stuff that we're used to. And reality, you know, it's very odd.
Yeah, it's a yin and yang type deal, because I've noticed if you look throughout history, there's periods of time that are great, and then there's periods of time that are shit, and then there's periods of times that are great.
Yeah.
I think it's because us as humans, we're pleasure monkeys, right? So we're always trying to, like, we're getting to that pinnacle right now with AI and, you know, robots and uploading your consciousness and all that stuff. We're getting to a tipping point where it's going to go to shit again, and then we're going to hit a big restart. And then there's going to be like, oh, how rude. You know, I tell them when I'm up here to text, to not call me, and they don't listen. But anyways, where was I getting at?
You were talking about entertainment and the reboot.
Yeah. And now we're at a point where it's ultimate freedom, and nobody has to approve, because we've gotten ourselves to a point of convenience where why don't we start the show?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, man.
All right. This is Tony Rager, and thank you guys for tuning in to Joint Narcissism. And with me on the show today, I got David. How you say your last name?
You know what? I actually don't give my last name.
Okay.
Do
you have an internet name?
Yeah, everyone just calls me David the Producer.
Oh, David the Producer. I like that better. David the Producer. It's sound like a character.
Yeah, pretty much.
David the Producer. You know David the Producer. Yeah, I know David. But yeah, where are you from?
Chicago.
Chicago. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's amazing. Only in this 20 30 years span, no, 20 years span, where we can have conversations in different time zones.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And record it.
And put it out to people, you know, for consumption. Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah. And then, you know, there's potential to make money on that. And then there you go. You're an entrepreneur. You're making money. You're making something people want. And then advertisers like, well, they're already listening. So I think that's just so amazing. Why would I want to be a cookie cutter guy? I resent the idea of working for someone else. It bugs me every day.
Well, that's the whole power of being an entrepreneur. You know, it's just going out on your own, seeking your own path, making your own content in, you know, our cases, and just, you know, having fun doing it and trying to make a buck along the way.
Yeah, trying to make a living off of what you love. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, some history or some context.
Yeah, well, I'll give you, the Reader's Digest version. So I, started off and I'm still doing it today. I'm actually, my profession for my day gig is I've been in sales for like the last 25 years. I've been doing sales for a long time, and now I'm in sales management and love my day gig, love what I do. But my true passion has been podcasting, and I've only been doing it with Juliet now for a little over a year, but it's just so much fun. and met some of the most incredible people along the way. That I get to live kind of the best of both worlds. I have a great day gig, and I have a great passion and a great hobby. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's an amazing thing, that feeling that we all know. I think that's why we all get along. We have like this small little community of us on Twitter and stuff, and it's because we all feel that same feeling towards doing this stuff. We know exactly what it feels like, how excited you get about how important it is to you, how how life-changing it could be. It changed, like, my old show from the very beginning to the end, like two completely different people, and it was all from talking and exchanging ideas, and I just fell in love with it.
It's funny when I meet different podcasters and listen to their episodes, but then dive really deep into their archives and then go back to kind of the early ones. Everyone was just trying to figure out who they were, what they wanted to say, get their own voice, understand what they wanted to be as a podcast. Yeah. But all the ones have really grown into themselves. It's a really cool process, and it's really neat to see.
Yeah, it's still. I would say podcasting still in its toddler stages. Not yet a kid and not yet a teenager. It's only been around since 2007 or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's still the Wild West. But when you have companies like Gimlet and NPR and all these YouTube. Other now corporations that have kind of come into the game, and they're dominating. Absolutely dominating the game. But they're also bringing consciousness. The way I look at it is, most podcasters that I talk to are like, yeah, screw those big guys, fuck them. They're just trying to get more listeners and get more ad space. And the way I look at it is, you know what? They're spending all this money in advertising. They're getting big names to this profile, and they're making people understand and learn and listen to podcasts. That's just good for everybody. I look at it as a great thing.
It makes it more popular.
Yeah.
My only issue is that now that cable isn't huge anymore, and like getting a job on a network or even doing your own movie, you don't need anybody anymore. Like, I plan on making a couple short films when I get my drone, and I got all the editing software for everything. I don't need anybody, and that's never been a time in history where I could spend maybe, I don't know, probably spent $2,000 in total on everything technically for the show. Over time, the 3 years that I started it. But I love that, but it's upsetting because now big media is recognizing that, and now they're capitalizing on it, and capitalizing on it way harder and way faster because they have a following. Everybody knows them. Their name, their brand is known. So people will be like, oh, that's made by NBC. Okay, it can't be terrible, But when you got like some random guys in their living room talking, it's harder because, you're financially restricted, advertisement, you're not famous, so you don't have a following, and you have to create these things. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because Brendan Schaub from The Fighter and the Kid, he was answering a fan question one time, and it pissed me off, his answer. Do you think the fact that you're friends with Joe Rogan and Brian Callen, and the fact that you're a football player and a MMA fighter helped your podcast at all? He said no. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? If I were to go on Joe Rogan's podcast tomorrow, I would have millions of downloads, at least hundreds of thousands, but that's significant to make money, And all you need is 1,000. That's all you need is 1,000 legitimate fans, and your shit will take off. And it's go ahead.
Our medium is very weird right now because it's almost followed a pattern of the other entertainment forms, meaning that you remember when the big blockbuster movies that's all there was. There was no such thing as indie movies. I mean, there were indie movies, but they never got the attention they do today.
Yeah.
And then indie movies came into play. What was it? maybe the 90s, you got your Tarantinos, and then it started working its way up from there.
Rodriguez.
And now, yeah, indie is a thing. And then you go to the music industry where nobody, the regular albums don't sell
They
shit
don't make
anymore.
no money anymore.
Yeah, musicians, I feel the worst for those guys because they're not making shit.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
don't
it's
make
only
nothing.
the top tier that are, making any sort of money. And any band that's making money today is usually making off touring. They're not making much off the albums. So then now you look at, cable and everything. You can just kind of roll it all the way down through all the mediums. And now you have podcasting. And podcasting started actually, in its infancy. Well, it was really all indie. It was just a bunch of tech guys that, started, talking on microphones and sharing it. And as it started to grow, then the big corporations came in. So it kind of came in backwards where a lot of the other mediums started with corporations and worked the other way. So we're in a weird spot right now.
Yeah.
So you got a bunch of indies out there that already existed and have existed for a long time, but now you got the big players. So how's this going to play out? I have no idea.
Yeah, it makes it it's like should have got in early type of thing, because now if you see, I personally do it for the love and for potential financial gain. That's why I want to do it. Like, I love it, so I'm going to profit off of it so that I'm happy,
Right.
And then you got people that are only doing it for the profit. And it's on, I see it and hear it all the time. And it's just, maybe that's my own little ego bitterness that I keep bringing up, that I keep noticing I won't shut the fuck up about. But
No, I think people see right through that, though. I mean, for the people that are doing it for the money, I think you can tell in the content that they're providing and how and what and their motivations for doing things. You can kind of see through that, because all a podcast is really about personality and the content and whatever you're providing your audience is entertainment. And I think that for the ones that are doing really, really good content, there's always going to be an audience for. And that audience will continue to grow for the people that are doing good content.
yeah.
And the ones that aren't will pod fade or, just, get tired of not having a lot of listeners. It's hard to say. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
not like I have the keys to the car here,
It's
I wish I
really
did.
Weird. It's really weird. Like, near the end of my show, out of like the last couple of weeks, the downloads just stopped. They were down to like 60 or 80. And I was like, well, what the fuck? And it all happened the time that Fredo and Clicks left, started losing listeners. So I was like, all right, well, that's a failed business. I started it wrong. It was random, and I didn't start getting good until, the last 40, 50 episodes and stuff. And I was like,
what you got to take from that, though, is what worked out of that,
Yeah,
right? So you know that there was something there that did work.
Yeah.
What are you going to bring to the new show that is, that worked in the last show that will bring you to that next level, right? And anything in a new thing, it's growing, right? So it's so multi-tiered. It's not only just the content and what you put out there, but how you get it out there and how you market it and who you're marketing it to, and finding your audience and doing the right SEO and building the right website and making the right alliances and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's all the above. And it's podcasting, and I think for people that don't do podcasts, they don't realize how much hard work there is behind the scenes.
A lot of
in
time.
just a lot of time. A lot of time in, planning an episode, a lot of time in recording and editing an episode, a lot of time in marketing that episode, a lot of time and money in, putting the right infrastructure in place to get you off the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot, It's a lot to it that, like, it took me 3 years to get this studio, like, vibing right, It the trial and error, the trying out the different apps, what works, what doesn't work. And, right now I'm for this show, hopefully by the time people are listening to this, there'll already be an intro. But I'm still, I was going to talk to you about that, and then I had asked someone else, and they haven't gotten back to me. So I was going to, how's that going, by the way?
Yeah, Gary, my buddy who is busy through the holidays.
Yeah.
Once the end of the year comes up and all of the end of year stuff, he clears out. He's going to be able to do something for us probably within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. I want to drop the show sometime in January. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of January, but yeah, man, it's
work.
It's work.
It is just a lot of work, man. But that's what I love about it, because the work that I think we all put into it, it's a total labor of love.
Yeah.
We do it because we totally dig it, because we believe in everything that we each individually do.
Yeah.
We're having fun doing it. We've met a lot of really cool people along the way. So, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, your show started getting some big guests lately. That's
Yeah, we've been luckily I have a sales background, and
yeah, so you know how to give a pitch. I'm working on it. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, it takes time. You have to hone your pitch based on what your
target is,
your attributes are, and the kinds of guests you want to get, and over time, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
In all honesty, because for everyone thinks we get these great guests, and we've been lucky enough to get some pretty cool people on the show, but for every yes I get, I probably get about 20 to 25 no's.
I don't even get
at
no's.
least.
I just don't get replied back to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and same with me. Either you get nothing or you get a no.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That was that got me motivated when I seen that you had that. What was his name again? The actor from Batman.
Eric Roberts.
Yeah, Eric Roberts was the Scarecrow, correct, in Batman?
No, he was. He played a gangster.
Gangster.
Right. He was one of the gangsters.
Maloney.
Yeah, He was in that. He was in Pope of Greenwich Village, and he was in Star 80.
That's awesome. Was he?
But he's got like 500 credits to his name.
Damn,
I mean, this guy's like
He's just working, huh?
He's working his ass off.
How was
man.
he?
This guy is prolific.
He was
so nice, man.
That's so cool.
Yeah. We've only had one experience with one guest that was not, great, and it was really, really, really early on, and I won't say who it is, but if you listen to the episodes, you may be able to figure it out. It happens, but for the most part, if people are going to say yes, that they're going to be really into it and they want to do it.
Yeah, because I'm in contact locally with a lot of creative individuals, and I know on the other show that the two artists I had on, I know they made sales because people told me that they bought their stuff. So, time and consistency is the key to success and perseverance. It's like you got to be able to wait it out, and you have to be able to sacrifice the time to do the things to get your name out there. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that, and I think that's why a lot of people don't become successful.
I would agree. And it's like I said, even just looking at the guest aspect of our show, that if I heard 5 no's and got disappointed and stopped getting it, then what? You just got to persevere. You just got to keep going through it. You got to keep honing your craft, and you have to keep, just being better at what you do. And if you can do it, then you'll get results.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, man. I've learned a lot, from learning this audio software, rekindling my graphic design abilities, putting together a website, learning about every little intricacy of timing of launch episode, of the quantity of episodes, the time frame of the episodes. I just sit up here and I learn. I'm always like, if I have a question and I want to know something, I learn how to do it up here, and I think that is freaking awesome. Right now I'm working on sound drops, but I still can't figure it out, but I'll get there.
You know what? I give you a tremendous amount of credit because, I mean, I'm lucky enough to where I don't have to be the talent on the show and come up with the content and do all that stuff. So there's like a separation of church and state, you know, where, you know, Juliet does all of the content in the show and, you know, all the interview questions and, you know, all the content for her own single episodes. And then I do all the background stuff, right? You know, I do the web design, I do the website, I do the blog, I do the, you know, Twitter, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
booking the guests, all that
all
stuff.
the things that we do.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, and all the audio editing too, right? You know, you said it took you, you know, 3 years, and you're still working out stuff.
Yeah.
I've only been doing it a year, and you know, I'm still figuring it out every day. You know, I learned something new from another podcaster, or I learned something new from, you know, I'm a huge avid fan of listening to the guys over at Podcast Roundtable. So Ray Ortega and Daniel J. Lewis and Dan Jackson, those guys. Just hearing those guys talk about podcasting, and you know, they shortened my learning curve. I would guess my ramp time shortened by probably 6 months, easy, just by listening to their podcasts or their, you know, video podcasts that they put together. It's huge.
Yeah, that is, but that's giant. That's, man, I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Well, go back and check those guys out,
sure.
because you know, every single episode I learned something new about either whether it's content related, whether it's technology related, whether it's you know, a website or marketing related. Those guys cover it all, and again, you know, I thank them for, you know, making my ramp really short.
That's so crazy because you know, I would want to talk about that stuff on my show before, and then the old hosts, they're like, who the fuck wants to listen about this stuff, you know? And I don't know why I ever listened to them. God, I should have just talked about whatever I wanted to talk about. A lot.
Well, and that's, I think that's what engages audiences, is talking from your heart rather than talking from a script.
Yeah, it's way easier too. Anytime you're not a professional at like acting or whatever, when you have to read and think unnaturally, the common individual doesn't handle that very well, and it doesn't come off right. It doesn't sound good. So that's why the beginning was chaos. The middle was like starting to get it figured out how to work this thing, and then the end was like, all right, I got it figured out. And
it's so funny you say that, because you know, just by seeing your presence, and this goes back when I first found out about you guys, and I found out about you through Ray from the Naked Porch, right? Of course, you know, because Ray's been great. I love Ray.
He's an awesome dude.
He's awesome.
We just did the first episode with that podcast and the Horribly Awkward. We did the first episode.
I saw that. Yeah, both of those guys are great.
Really cool guys.
But you know, I've known Ray a long time, and then I got to know your podcast through Ray, and I always thought, you know, and when I first found your podcast, you know, we were doing, you know, crappy numbers, you know, at the time. We're like, you know, doing like, ugh.
This is embarrassing.
You know,
you don't want to show anybody.
When is this going to get better, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought that you guys were like the top of the food chain. Like, oh my God, these guys are rocking it. You know, I mean, I saw the retweets and you know, I'm like, oh man, these guys are killing it. So, you know, what are they doing? You know, it's always, you always look for the next level, right?
Yeah, I was applying this thing that I learned about life when I was in the military. It's perception is everything. So we need to present ourselves the way that we would like to be presented. So me and the other guys, we had a background. We went to the Art Institute together. So we have a graphic design, web design background. So that's why it felt so professional when you've seen it, is because we're educated in that, like marketing and color theory and placement and the rule of thirds, typography.
Right.
And, you know, when we come, that's why I was so excited about those guys, because when we come together and we put our minds together, we have a legitimate, like, call in that workforce to be the top. Like, we can make a lot of money at this. And I got excited, and then it failed. But, yeah, no, it was all.
Let me ask you
perception.
let me ask you this: now that you've done that other show, you had co-hosts with you on it, and you had other talents that were brought to bear. What are you going to do different this time in both content and marketing than you did before?
This time, I'm the only host. This show, I'm aiming to have guests only. I think that's literally the only change, because I just want it to come in, be natural, have a real, honest, comfortable conversation, and because I find the greatest ideas come out of those situations, so that's the way I want to market it. That's the only thing I don't know how to pitch. How would I pitch that? To get a guest on, how would I pitch that idea?
Yeah, you know what? Give me some time on that one.
Okay.
I think I actually have a couple ideas
right,
for you.
Cool. Yeah, see, I have a hard time with my focus. I'm like ADD, ADHD. I think that's why I can do everything. The content, the editing and promotion and all that. I think it's just because I have a super hyper brain.
Well, and I think with that kind of, but that comes, most creative people have kind of a sense of that one way or another. They're not, what creative people that I've met my whole lifetime. And I was a musician, by the way, for almost 35 years.
I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah. So, I've been around creative people, for a good part of my life. Mm-hmm. And just knowing that kind of psyche, it's getting the, there's a couple pieces to it, really. There's just, getting a game plan together, because, planning and the strategy and those pieces are not necessarily the easiest pieces for people that are creative. Yeah. They want to create the content, and they want to, they have the excitement and the exuberance to want to do it, and they want to put it out there, but there's no plan behind it. So you either have to kind of train yourself to get the left side, right side of your brain to kind of figure all that out, or, bring somebody else into the fold that can help you do those things.
Yes.
And that is not a bad thing.
It's really hard.
That's not a bad thing at all. Having a partner in anything is tough. But I'm lucky enough, since my partner is my wife. It's where she could be the creative person, and then I try to be the business person behind the scenes.
Oh, I wish I had that. It'd be easier for my mind. It doesn't have to run on all cylinders all the time.
Yeah, but you know what? If you know your strengths and your weaknesses, just fill the gaps.
Yeah, I tried
fill the gaps with people you trust.
I tried that, and it didn't work. That's why I decided to. I don't want to be let down, and I don't want to have any excuses for anything. So that's why I decided I'm just going to do this by myself, because I tried with the guests, and I mean, not guests, but the co-host, and then what is that word? I delegated tasks for the show, like scheduling tweets, artwork, and then me, I had all my stuff that I did. And it lasted like 3 months. Those dudes, we killed it for 3 months, and then they just stopped. And I was just like, well, come on, man. 3 months? Like, I think they were expecting it to, like, millions of downloads. They're like, 3 months and we don't have millions of downloads? I'm not going to put that much work into it. So I realized other people aren't going to have the heart for this like I have the heart for this. So I can't expect them to do anything, because I'm just going to get pissed off. Because I know myself. I'm going to get mad. And I don't want to be mad. So to avoid that, I was like, well, I'll just do it myself. And if people want to be on, they can be on,
Yeah, and there are a lot of podcasts that are single-person podcasts where I know the host does everything. And, it's a lot of work, but some of them are really, really popular, and some of them, just they don't put the time in. So it all depends on how much time you want to put in.
Yeah, I just released last week or this week my new show, Therapy Session. I launched it Wednesday night, like Wednesday morning, like at 1, and then that Tuesday is I finished the intro because I wanted to make an intro because I suck at conceptualizing or visualizing in my brain how to put these sounds together, you know?
Right.
So I sat here forever, like messing with effects and doing things, and then I finally got one that I was like, all right, that sounds pretty good. So
cool. And is it available now?
You know what? I don't know. I checked. I tried to search it on iTunes. It didn't pop up yet. I don't know if it's been verified for iTunes yet, but it is on Stitcher.
It's on Stitcher.
So it's on Stitcher already.
Have you promoted it on Twitter? I haven't seen it.
It's my pinned tweet.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, okay. Well, then we'll go out and make some stuff happen. We'll see if we can get a whole bunch of people out there to do that. I didn't even know it was out yet. I thought that you just recorded the one with Ray. I didn't know that it was out.
That is the one that I recorded with Ray. By the time people are hearing this, it'll be in January. But yeah, I just recorded last night with him. And it's like backlog because of my strategy, you know. I'm backlogging a few episodes so that I can have content for sure for at least 8 weeks.
So let me ask this: what's your end game with podcasting? Where do you want to be? Where do you want the show to be? And what is your gauge for success?
My gauge for success.
Everyone has a different gauge for success.
Mine is comfort. Mine is no worries. Mine is semi-stress free because, you know, shit happens all the time. You can't avoid fucked up shit sometimes, but I don't want to worry about food. I don't want to worry about bills. I don't want to worry about, I want a motorcycle, but I can't have one because I'm poor. Or I want to go deep sea fishing on my own boat, but I can't because I'm poor. Or I want to park in my own garage. You know what I mean? I want
all right,
freedom.
Then here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a blood brother moment here. And if either of us make it, we're taking each other, deep sea fishing.
I'm down. I love fishing. I love getting out in the outdoors and stuff.
With us, it's a little bit different. We're just like doing incremental goals.
That's smart.
We're trying not to, boil the ocean all at once and say, we want to be millionaires at doing this. Because, ultimately, would we love to be able to quit our jobs and just do this? I think that's everyone's dream, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to do that. But we're just kind of taking it off in chunks. We just create these incremental goals to say, okay, this month, this is what we want to happen. And see if we can make that happen. And if we can't, then we, maybe make part of it and then, try to reach the next goal.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to make it easy on ourselves just so that we don't create such a stress and an environment that, we're setting ourselves up to fail. Yeah. So, and everyone's different. Everyone's going to have different goals. Everyone's going to have different, end games to all this. But for right now, our main priority is, one, put out the best content that we possibly can based on what we do, and two, try not to make it stressful on us, and make it to where we can at least have some sense of outside life and not just make it all about the podcast, and then three, that we're just having fun doing it. That's kind of our goals, but then we have other goals of like how many other outlets that we want to try to reach, or these kind of guests we want to get. There's things like that go a little bit outside of that, but those are kind of the fundamental goals.
It's really hard for me to think of a guest to have on because I like so many different people. But I have this like small little thing like, I'm a nobody. Why would they want to have a conversation with me for an extended period of time? I got that little thing going on in my psyche I got to get over so that I can.
You have to get over that because you know what? We're a podcast that we call it our pillow fort. Because if you saw our podcast studio, it's a series of blankets around a dead in the room, and it's the most hobo-looking thing you've ever seen in your life. But if we looked at that and said, you know what, who's going to come to us, or who'd want to talk to us? If you that you're setting yourself up for failure. You gotta. It's all about being positive and being, self-assured that that you deserve to talk to that guest, because you could bring value. You have something or a conversation that you'll have with them that'll be meaningful to people to listen to. That's what it comes down to. You just got to get over why would they want to talk to me? Because there's lots of people that we talked to that I thought, they're not going to talk to us, but let's give it a shot. Like Charlie Daniels or Ari Shafir.
You guys had Ari on?
Or,
Dude, that's so
yeah,
good.
we had Ari on. Yeah. Yeah, and just people like that, and Anthony Cumia or A.E. Hotchner, who was Hemingway's best friend for 15 years. Jeez. I mean, these people, we could easily say, well, we don't deserve to talk to them, but we got to give them a reason to want to talk to us.
See, that's my thing. I can't come up with how to say that. Why the reason they should want to talk to me?
You got to create the value points of your show. You got to. I think I shared with you, the general pitch that I use, but you got to tailor it to your show. In other words, why would that guest want to come on to pitch whatever they're pitching? Because the whole reason guests come on your show is not just to chat,
for promotion,
but they want to promote something. They absolutely want to promote something, and you have to hit them in a promotion cycle. That's another key.
That's what I was going to bring up right now is promotion cycles. You hear it in podcasts, because there'll be times where I'll hear the same guest on 3 different shows, simultaneously in the same week. So, yeah, that's a good idea.
And that's all because they're promoting something. And that's when you got to hit them.
Dates coming up, huh?
Well, what I do is I signed up for IMDb Pro, so I look at all the movies that are coming out within the next month or 2 months, and look at the different people that are available, and then look up their PR people. Or I go out to Amazon and see who's got a book coming out in the next month or 2 months, and do the same thing, right? And try to book based on promotional efforts.
Jesus Christ. It seems so common sense. I'm kind of upset with myself that I never thought of that.
It's just something that I don't know if somebody told me that, or that Juliet came up with that, or I don't even remember how that came up. But we just kind of figured out cycles of when people would want to speak to us, and we do the best we can and try to get people we can get. But again, it's a numbers game, and you're going to get disappointed. I mean, there's going to be a ton of people that tell you no or tell you nothing.
I'm not worried about that anymore. I'll get past it. It's just the psyche and all that. I'm always working on it. So that's a thing I'm going to get past, because I will have 2017 is going to be an awesome year for podcasting. Yeah, and I plan on having on great guests. It is. Starting off the year with great guests.
With all the people that are on here now, when you have Katie Couric doing a podcast, you're like, geez, if Katie Couric can do a podcast,
why not me? Yeah, man, that's how I feel. I'm really leaning towards being like a mentor, self-help coach guy. I just have to organize my brain first before I can do something like that. But, geez Christ, I forgot what I was talking about. That's embarrassing.
No, well, what kind of guests are you looking to get?
Yes,
have you
people
thought
like
of
Ari
the
Shafir,
type of guest?
Bert Kreischer, all those guys, their conversations, they're the reason why I started podcasting, because of their podcast. Of course, number one, Joe Rogan, first show I ever listened to that was a podcast, when I discovered before I even knew what a podcast was, I started watching Joe Rogan on YouTube.
Right.
When he had the fleshlights and stuff, and they were sitting on a couch in a living room. And I just started. I got more into it. And I started listening to the words, and I was like, yeah. And then I would have an idea to add to their ideas, but I can't fucking do it because, one, you tweet at them, they don't tweet back for the most part, and you want to get them on, but you're like, Like, you haven't established yourself. See, I think that maybe that's what's holding me back, is the fact that I haven't established this new show. So how can I give them, something to be like, all right, it's worth my time to be on your show?
Oh, we waited until like 8 episodes till we started booking guests because we wanted to at least figure out what the show was going to be about and kind of, work its way through. And Juliet started for the same reason that you did. She's a big fan of Bill Burr's Monday Morning
Podcast. Listening to it right now before you called.
Oh, yeah, Bill's just amazing. We love Bill Burr. And he was the inspiration for her to want to start podcasting. And we thought, it's just one guy and a microphone, and he's telling these great stories.
Yeah.
Why not? Give it a shot.
Why not, right? Why not?
But deciding on when we were going to start bringing on guests was like, well, let's kind of figure that part out first and see if you're still into it. And if you are after 8 episodes, we'll try to get somebody on. And we, it took us until our 9th episode till we brought on our first guest. And that was when we knew that we were going to have, interviews, different, it was going to be half and half. It was going to be part, Juliet's stories and, just some monologue-ish, one-person style podcast, and then interwoven with interviews.
Yeah, see, I was thinking about doing that exact thing with my therapy session show, because it's a solo, but it's about, self-help and psychology and shit, and trying to understand things and venting and ranting. I was thinking about having like psychologists or, people like Tony Robbins on that could give tips and tricks and advice. That's one thing I was thinking about for that show.
That's cool part. Yeah, it's do you have a certain kind of tag you want to have as part of that? Meaning that, so there's self-help kind of podcasts out there, but you're not a typical kind of guy that would do a self-help. Meaning that you have a different angle.
I have
on
an
it. What would be your
perspective
angle
of the psychology?
Yeah.
I started to. I don't know why I got into psychology so deep, but like, I grew up in my family, dude. It's just, they're all on pills and stuff. It's just typical America. And I just, I don't want to be like that. So I started, the thing that expanded my mind was Joe Rogan. Hey, all of his guests, all the things that they talked about, and the truth that you could hear and the facts and the science. I was like, okay. And then, he had psychologists on, and Dr. Rhonda Patrick was on. And I learned a lot about how your diet can affect your psychology. So now I'm like crazy about making sure I get a gang of vitamin D3, a gang of cod liver oil, vitamin E, the basics, zinc, just to make sure that I'm giving my body what it needs to run at its full potential. And I would have never had that understanding if it weren't for podcasts. I would have never learned those things. I would have just turned out like everybody else. I think that's what, it gave me a different perspective on things, like forcing myself to learn, to better myself. So it's like a anti-brainwashing thing. Like it's like, you're like, what the fuck? I can fix myself by eating right. Most America doesn't think that. They think they have to go to the doctor if something's wrong.
Well, I'm definitely going to listen to your podcast because I need lots of help.
Yeah, I'm very, I got memory issues. That's probably just because of the weed. But I deal with anxiety, stress, depression on a daily basis, man. I get momentary spurts of anxiety because I thought of something that maybe I forgot to do, and then I'm just stressed the fuck out all of a sudden, and I hate it, and then I take it out on people around me, and I hate that version of myself, and it's not fair for me to expect people to stay in my life and just be like, well, that's just who I am, accept me, love me or hate me. No, if you don't like something in other people, and yet you're doing the same, you got to fix yourself. So that's the idea. That's what I believe. I think since I preach so much about being the best version of myself, I also have to do it. And I know I'm not the best.
Yeah. No, that's very cool, man. And if you could bring that to the show and your experiences alongside of just having professionals on the show,
Yeah,
I think that's
it's getting me
awesome.
excited right now. Well,
Oh man,
do you want to call tonight, or you want to keep chatting it up? I don't know how much time you got.
Oh, dude,
All right.
I've got all the time in the world. My
okay.
my teams are in
Yeah,
bed
no.
already. Yeah, they're not going to start making money
What
for
is
me
that?
until
It's
tomorrow.
like 9 over there right now.
What time is it now? Yeah, it's a little
7.
after 9. Yeah.
So how was your holidays, brother?
Oh man, it was great. My daughter was in from college. Saw her for a bit. I'm a
right there with
divorced
you.
dad, so Juliet's actually my second wife, and my youngest, who is now a freshman at college, she just came back from Savannah, Georgia, back home for the holidays. It
bet.
was awesome seeing her. And I have my older daughter who lives in Texas. I saw her right before the holidays. She was out here for a week, and then I saw my son. So it was great holidays, man. How about yourself?
It was good. Spend it with the family. I'm not a big holiday person. Based on the way I grew up, I have this like subconscious negative thing with the holidays. Like I get real blah, like grinchy. But I'm working on it.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I grew up in a divorced family, and it was like really hard early on as a kid, and it always made me really just despise the holidays. It took me a long time before I could even think about being happy at the holidays.
I'm getting there. I was less angry this year, and I was happy that I had both my kids. I also am divorced, and I have a daughter. How is it living away from them? Like I stay right here in the ghetto because I want to live close to my daughter, and I just have to be there. She's young. She's not in college or anything, granted, but like, how is that? How I'm sure
It's hard. It especially right when I got divorced, which was about 10 years ago. Yeah, it was really, really hard because it was a
Divorces
really
always
tough
suck for the men.
divorce, and man, she made it really hard on me. I mean, I didn't get to see my kids for the first year after we were divorced. That's how long she held it up in court. It was brutal.
I got lucky with my baby mamas. When in the beginning, my ex-wife, she was a dick, like terrible. But she never screwed me over. She just like crushed my soul. But she never really, screwed me over.
She just did nothing but, I don't know, crush my soul.
So right now, like,
Well,
it's funny.
I don't mean to
funny.
laugh, dude, but I feel your pain, man. I know what that's like.
There was a time we were getting along great. Everything was fine. It was like two big families. We, went to each other's houses. It was normal. It was really weird that it was normal for us to be around each other. Like I had my girlfriend that I have now, my son's mother, and we would go over there on the holidays and spend time together. And out of nowhere, she fucking flipped the script, right? And she's trying to take custody away from me, trying to get me on child support, all this stuff out of nowhere.
Oh.
So that was probably around the time you discovered me. I was bitching a lot about my ex-wife during like early January of last year,
Right.
February, and then now we're good again. Everything's back to normal. And,
that's
technically
good.
I'm supposed to be paying child support, but she's like, well, I don't need it right now, but I still give her money anyways, sort of to cover my ass. But it's so weird how powerful women are, and they hide it. They hide that power, and they hit you in the face with that power right at the perfect time. They're like, all right, we're going to take you down real quick. Just hit you in the face with this fucking powerful divorce attorney I got right here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's painful. Divorce is,
It's terrible, man.
a long-term effect.
I tried to kill myself.
Did you really?
Yeah, dude. I was I had 5150. I was in the hospital. Yeah, it was a terrible timing. I just got back from doing the weekend, I think, when I was in the Army, I was doing the weekends, and it was my weekend alone. Like, I didn't have my daughter, and I had made plans. I threw an art show backyard party at this house, and my current girlfriend, we weren't together at the time, but her ex-boyfriend showed up, and they were being like really loud and obnoxious. Sorry about that.
No, that's right.
Being really loud and obnoxious, and I told him, I was like, you guys gotta go, and then got in a fight. I beat up her ex-boyfriend, then her ex-boyfriend's friend sucker punched me in the mouth, broke my tooth. That's why, like, if you look at my videos, I have like a dead tooth. Like, the dude sucker punched me, knocked my tooth out, picked it up, like wiped it on my shirt and shoved it back in. So it's just like, that's why it's longer than all of my other teeth too, because I guess I didn't shove it in far enough.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and then, you know, after that, like, I was all jacked up and drunk and got home, and I was like, God damn it, man. And then that night before,
the hard part is trying to do the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, my situation sounds like it was a little bit different than yours, where it started off really, really bad, and it was a fight that was just nothing but court dates and all kinds of other stuff that just all played out in front of the law, rather than like real fights or yelling or screaming or anything. We didn't even talk to each other. Jeez. So it was all done through lawyers, and it was brutal because that's what costs more.
Are savage, man.
Oh, just brutal.
Yeah, they had,
and that lasted for a long time, and it wasn't until literally last year to where my ex and I actually talk now together, and we actually have civil conversations.
Okay.
So it's just doing the right thing over time, and
pays
just
off,
trying to be,
I agree.
Trying to be a good dad.
I agree with you. I adopted that. I adopted that probably 2013 when I started the show. When I started to better myself. Shit. I hate when that happens.
What's that?
What was the point I was making? God damn it. This is the ADD.
Oh, we were
talking. The ADD. Like, I'll start talking and I'll be like, squirrel. And then it bugs me. Like, it bugs the hell out of me. I hate it. I apologize.
Oh, no worries, man.
What was I saying anyways? Do you remember?
Oh, we were just talking about divorce and how it does get better over time.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. I don't know why I lost that. It's so weird how you just lose things and you're like, what? What was I saying?
Oh, dude, I have senior moments all the time now. Don't worry about it.
Scary, man. It's so scary. That I started doing that. I had a talk with her. We were real bitter towards each other, and then, you know, I was like, this is dumb. This is a shitty way to live. Like I'm gonna be stuck with this woman in my life forever. So I was like, all right, well, I might as well get along. Why can't we get along? We got along before. We've been friends before, sort of. And so one time we put her shit aside, and everything went better. And then, like, I'm always like offering to pay for everything. Like, whatever she needs, you just tell me, I'll buy it. Don't even have to ask. Whatever. All these things that a good dad should be. A dad that sits down and talks to his daughter, or teaches them things about life, not just gives them stuff to make them happy so that they'll like me. Like, if my daughter doesn't want to be with me on my time, like, if she would ever say I want to go home, she would go home. You know?
Right.
It's always trying to be the best version of yourself, always. And it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it is. It's, trying to always be good in situations that are really, really difficult is like, there's a part of you that just wants to say, well, how about go fuck yourself?
Yeah. There's a monster in all of us. And we,
right.
That's the part about being a civilized human, is being able to control those monsters and live in a way that is non-harmful to anybody. You can harm yourself, just don't hurt anybody else. And even that goes deep. That goes psychologically deep, because if you hurt yourself, you could also be hurting someone else emotionally,
Right.
So it just starts getting deeper.
Yeah, there's layers of damage that can be done.
Yeah.
And it's trying not to get emotional during really difficult situations like divorce is so hard because you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting someone that you used to be with, and you could possibly be hurting your kids.
Yeah.
So it's you got those layers you got to figure out, and I tell you, do I have the the right mixture? I try, but do I always get it right? Hell no.
Something always goes wrong. For me, I always end up saying something wrong. I used to never ever filter myself ever. I would just say whatever came to my mouth. Yeah,
Really?
I would.
I tried to filter that stuff. Not having like direct conversations with my ex.
Yeah.
That we would do stuff over text, and I'd think about it before I'd write it. Because I'm like, okay, I'd write it and I go backspace, 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 backspace.
Like you write it and read it and be like, she's gonna take that wrong. She's gonna take that wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah. All right, I'm getting a cramp in my foot. You ever get a cramp in your foot and your toes just start spreading apart from each other? Like the big toe?
Like a cat? Yeah.
Like it's doing it right now. Like I'm trying not to freak out because I have a cramp in my foot. And I'm trying to bring my toes back together. I don't know. I need to drink more water or something.
You need more water, man.
Water and salt in my diet. I don't know. Well, I think we're going to call it. That is officially, we've been on the phone for 1 hour. So we've been recording a little over 50 minutes. So.
Always a pleasure, Tony. You know that.
Man, I really appreciate you giving me the time to come in and help me create some great content to give to the world.
Always a pleasure, man, and thanks for having me on.
You want to plug anything on here before you go?
No, you could just find the Unwritable Rant. If you go to the unwritablerant.com, you could find the podcast there, all the social media,
all the great guests that they've had,
all the usual stuff.
Great show, and thank you, David, the motherfucking producer, for tuning in. I hope anytime you want to come on again, you're welcome to come on.
Thanks. And anything I could ever do to help the show, you know that you can always count on me, man.
All right, man. Thanks.
Hey, be good. Good night.